So the Education Department in the Free State will today launch a no racism campaign in schools. And this follows a series of incidents of alleged racism in Lejweleputswa district. The department will be targeting former Model C schools in that province, we're told, which are primarily at the center of these controversies. Let's unpack this for you now. Bring in the MEC of Education in the Free State, Tate Makgoe. Also joining us is the chairperson of the SGB Council in the province, Vani. To both our guests, thanks very much indeed for your time. It's lovely to have you on the program. MEC, let me begin with you. What necessitated not only a response from government, but a response in the form of a campaign like this?
Thank you very much. We all know as South Africans that there are challenges in schools. And some of those challenges, we see them on TV, we see them in our own communities. And they include, amongst others, things like racism, things like bullying at school, and things like sexism. You know, it's also rearing its ugly head, especially in the times of the gender-based violence. We have to nip it in the bud. And therefore, we then have decided, and other antisocial behavior, you know, drug abuse at schools and stuff like that. So we then decided that it's very, very important that, because we do have a group of officials who go to schools, talk to learners, and so on. But now we are transforming this into a campaign where we want to involve much more stakeholders, more people, to be able to say the same voice that no to racism and no to bullying and no to bad social behavior at schools. Mm-hmm. Because schools are there for people to learn. But whatever happens in society also affects what happens in our schools.
Absolutely.
So that is why we have now moved on to try and say, who else can help us deal with the scourge that is undesirable in our communities?
Isaac, we've heard time and time again that, you know, schools cannot single-handedly solve the racism issue in our country. And I guess it's with that in mind that we're going to have to really consider how far-reaching this kind of campaign will be. It certainly can begin at schools, but can't really end there if it's going to be effective.
Definitely not. And that is why we have, in where we have already started, we have also engaged parents, because parents play a crucial role in schools. We have parents' meetings. We have told them about the behavior of their children. Some of those things that the children say in schools or do in schools have learned them from their communities.
Yes.
So it starts with the parents to ensure that their children are disciplined before they can actually dump their children in a school.
Isaac, let me bring you into the discussion now. Typically, we find that these kind of campaigns appeal to the converted, for lack of a better term. How do we ensure that there's resonance, especially among those parents who need to hear these messages, parents whom, dare I say, are at the heart of the kind of racist sentiments that children bring to school?
Okay, thank you, Ayanda. Yeah, like the MEC have stated very well, we need to bring parents closer now to the schools, because the parents, sometimes they are aware of these issues, but they don't come forward to report this matter. But like the MEC has stated, the launch of this program, we want to bring on the parents now closer to the schools. The parents must now play their role in making sure that we promote the issue of discipline at the schools, because we don't want to get the reports via social media and other ways. But with the involvement of the parents, this kind of case can be dealt with together as stakeholders, particularly from the parents. So that is why we are bringing this forward to the parents, to make sure that now they are directly hands-on, not that we wait for the teachers or the officials to deal with the discipline. So today is the day that we say, parents, it's now time to come forward, to work together and assist the department, because now education and the discipline, it's now a societal issue. So we therefore today making sure that now we are pushing the pedal to the parents and say, come with speed, let us join hands together and make sure that we deal with this issue of racism, of which we know that the issue of discipline plays a role in this matter. But we say with the parents, come, let's work together and make sure that we deal with this matter. And this will go a long way if we work together as parents, teachers, and the learners also, because they are really affected. So yes, we are going to deal with this today. As the MEC launched the program, we want the parents to be on board and we drive together forward.
Yeah. I wonder what issues this campaign will tackle, Isaac, if I can stay with you, because in the past we've also seen that some of the racism has been institutional. You know, an example is that we've heard how, for instance, disciplinary processes in some institutions were harsher towards black pupils than their white counterparts. Does this campaign aim to perhaps also unpack things like policies in schools?
Yes. The first thing that we are going to look at are the policies. They are very much important because those are the documents that will guide us through the whole processes. But upon all these things, the launch is going to deal with the issue of, I don't want to say racism as the main word, but I want to deal with the crisis that we are getting behind the walls of the former Model C schools that are now being called or being mentioned as racism. But the main issue in this is an assault that are happening in the schools. But we cannot run away from the fact that there's a lot of discrimination from the Model C schools that now are triggering the racism issue. So we are going to deal with the issue of the discipline, the issue of the assault, and the racism. Yes, it's cropping up because MECS, before we come to this interview 30 minutes ago, I just got the call of one of the school, again in Lejweleputswa, the former Model C school. The issue of the K word was used against the teacher. So yes, we are going to also deal very much with the discriminative issues that are covering the racism that are behind the walls, because we are now concerned that it shows that there's been a number of issues regarding the discrimination and racism issue behind the walls, but now we got them through the social media. But the program that is launched now today by the MEC is going to help us to make sure that these incidents that are now happening behind the walls are not going to happen.
Absolutely.
To be hands-on. So really we are going to deal with the issue of discipline, the issue of racism, the issue of discrimination and assault in most of the schools. I'm sorry because now it's happening in my district, Lejweleputswa. All the schools, 5 schools that are affected are in my district. We are going to deal with those issues.
MEC, a last word from you. Racism in any space is concerning, but it is incredibly disheartening too when it comes from individuals like teachers who are meant to mold young people in our country. I imagine a great emphasis will be also directed towards, at the very least, sensitizing teachers who sometimes inadvertently, dare I say controversially, say things that are insensitive towards cultures or a group of students who they're not necessarily familiar with. Speak to me about what is directed specifically at teachers as part of this campaign.
Let's first say that in terms of the people who are invited, we are inviting principals now of the ex-Model C schools. We're inviting their deputies. We're inviting the chairpersons of the SGBs. Right? It was just to be able to control the numbers, but the intention was to be able to invite as many as possible. But for now, this is what we are looking at. And as we say, this is going to be a campaign. It means after the launch, we'll be going specifically to ex-Model C schools, the schools that have put us in the news for the bad reasons in the past few weeks, like Dagbreek and Mare and all those. We have already suspended, teachers there. Some principals have already been charged. And in the process, we have taken statements, like, for example, when we were in Dagbreek, we took statements from each and every teacher so that they can be able to explain what is happening. So I think we are actually just upping the game in terms of dealing with this. We are inviting them. So we are going to be there. I'm going to lead the campaign myself. And I'm going to be supported, as the chairperson of Mr. Vani says, by the SGPs. And we're going to solicit the support also of other departments such as social development, with social workers, because we really think that some of our children in these schools have been traumatized because of racism. And therefore we need a situation where they would actually be helped psychologically. Because there are times when parents want their children so much to be in those schools, to an extent that even if they are abused, parents feel that they can ignore this thing. So children suffer in silence.
Yeah.
They end up hooked on drugs and stuff like that. And I think we are really launching this campaign to say, let us all move together, South Africans, as Free Staters. And I'm happy that the media is talking about these issues, so that we can root out these things. It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy, but it must be done. It
Absolutely.
must be done. It's going to be done.
Yes. It's been said before, what is really just disturbing about racism is that it's a massive distraction. Here we are spending some time speaking about an issue which shouldn't be an issue in society, but sadly we live in a world where that isn't the case. So with that, wish you all the best. Thanks for your time. Really do appreciate it. The MEC of Education in the Free State joining us there. That's Tate Makgoe, also the chairperson of the HDB Council in the Free State, Vani. To both of you once again, thanks very much indeed for your time.